So.
Good evening. Welcome to Cricket Chat. Today we are going to review the fourth week of the NPCA Super League with Peter Ongondo, former national team player and Cricket Kenya coach, and David Odhiambo, a member of the Kenya Cricket Umpires and Scorers Association. So this week we have 5 matches because Obuya Cricket Academy have been reinstated into the Super League. They had some arrears with the Nairobi Provincial Cricket Association, which they have now settled, and they will be facing Stray Lions at Peponi School. So Obuya have the 3 Obuya brothers, Kennedy, Collins, and who's the other one?
David.
And David. Yes, and then for Stray Lions, we have Alex Obanda coming back and Hiren Varaya. They were playing in the NCBA T20 Cup in Mombasa, which for Burhani Sports Club. Alex scored 495 runs, I think, to be the top batsman in the tournament. And Hiren Varaya picked 15 wickets to be the top bowler. So they come back for Stray Lions this weekend. Peter, do you see them playing? Because Stray Lions have won 3 in a row. They have their team set as it is. Do you think they'll play?
I think if you have a player of Alex caliber, you can never put him out because he's a guy who can destroy the opposition one man. I don't think Stray Lions would gamble with not playing Alex in their team. And Irene has been a top bowler in the league also, not only in Mombasa recently. In the league, he's been one of the top bowlers and he's also a top bowler when he was playing for Kenya. I think they have got no option. They have to find space for the 2 players because they'll bring a very different blend with the attack because now they have 2 left-handers. They have Irene and then they have Shem Gote on the other side. And also they have now Alex who will score quicker because Shem, I believe, comes lower down the order. So they'll have something at the top order. So I don't think they'll imagine not playing Alex. I don't think any team in Kenya anyway can imagine dropping Alex, even if we have won 5 games in a row.
Okay. Yeah. Pamba, Colin said on Facebook that he's very excited to face his former team. He was at Stray Lions before. Stray Lions also have 2 players from Obuya Cricket Academy, that is David Mutua and Gerald Mwendwa. Do you think they are a match for Stray Lions?
Beryl, I don't think Obuya would be a match for Stray Lions. This could actually be a case of baptism of fire when they get in for the first time making a comeback. It's important for those who started playing, they continue with the form they have, and I think Stray Lions will be more angry and they'd want to prove a point. They've recruited well internationally and locally as well, and they want to continue with their form. They're currently the team that everybody probably would look to beat. And with the players in their side, even if you have the experience of Collins, David, and Kennedy in the side, I think the youngsters around them are still those ones who are looking to get together, to get their game together so that they can try and challenge things. So there might be a situation where the introduction of them might not strengthen the team so much to the extent that they could probably overhaul this Stray Lions side. Lions are steady, they are strong. They've been strong without without Irene and without Alex Obanda. And with the introduction of those 2, of course, a few players may have to make way for them, would even strengthen them furthermore. And now we've abandoned the league point system, which was batting and bowling points, and we've gone to the net run rate. This would encourage them to try and quick fire, get runs if they bat fast, get a bigger win so that the net run rate does come to help you. At times it carries a point in it and especially where the race is tight as it is, because we are seeing a top team like Candice having lost last week. They'll be angry to try and get back, but Sri Lanka would want to lay the marker down early. And I think Obuya might challenge them a little bit, just because of the three. But on the other side, I'm looking at a very strong Sri Lanka side, which have recruited very well. And I think this one is going Sri Lanka's way. I don't see Obuya, and also they'll probably be lacking much practice. I read some of the comments David wrote, and some actually I was lucky to be able to meet him today. He's speaking about a new brand of players coming through the academy. But this is the Premier League. This is where it all counts in this country. It's the top league in Nairobi, and I think the players that currently dominating it are the players at Sri Lanka. And if you look at the form Shem is in, I don't think they're being stopped by Obuya this weekend.
All right. Personally, I'm very excited to watch the match. I'm very happy that Obuya came back. Peter, Obuya were promoted just the other season. With the kind of players they have now and what they had before, are they still a match to be playing in the top tier of the league?
I think they've lost, like you said, Mutua, who has gone to Sri Lanka. They have lost Gerard. They have lost Shea. They have lost the players who made them play in the Premier League. So I think at the moment, they'll struggle. But as I said, Obuya has got 3 experienced batsmen, the 3 brothers. And the only thing that will struggle is their bowling, because they don't have any recognizable bowler. But the batting, I think they'll be okay, because if one of them stick in the wicket, and as I know, Kennedy is experienced, and when you let him go past 30, he'll score 100, and that's for sure for this league. If he goes past 30, he'll score 100. So the batting will manage, but the bowling will struggle.
Okay, we have to just wait and see. The next match is Ngara versus Sikh Union. It will be played at Ngara. Ngara have lost 2 in a row after winning the first one versus Sir Ali. Sikh Union played 1, lost, had a bye, came back and lost again. We can say that they've played strong teams, that's why they've lost, but now they seem to be probably at par with Ngara now. Sikh Union are making 3 changes to their squad. Guru is coming back as a wicketkeeper batsman. Banuchanak Ravi is coming back to open the batting, and Praveen Tandon, the off spinner, is also coming back. We've seen the struggles Ngara have had, especially at the top of the order. Most of the time it's, what's his name? The tall all-rounder. Tanzil Sheikh and Nikul pulling them out of the hole. Do you think the changes in Sikh Union are a match for them, Pamba?
Not really. Sikh Union have got a lot of young under-19 players. Some of them have just played the under-19 World Cup. Some of them are contenders to get to be selected to play the next under-19. As they're young players, they'll be learning through. I don't think they'll set themselves up to challenge for the title this time. It's probably get in the middle of the pack there, challenge the likes of Gymkhana, maybe a bit of Sali, Ngara, those teams are the bottom half of the table, but not to really go out and win this. So it's more of a strategy for development, which is good because they can bring in and grow and bring in new players and give them opportunity to express themselves in a competitive environment, which will be good for their own development. But in terms of this match, I still go with the experience of Ngara. I talked about their spin bowling. They're playing at their home ground. They've got Raj Patel, they've got D.A. Patel been bowling well. They've got Tanzir Sheikh, who also is a good all-rounder for them. Boss, medium pace for them, comes and scores runs for them. They've got Nikul Patel, who, when the top order would fail, he'd also be able to get runs at the other end of the innings. So we're looking at an experienced Ngara against an inexperienced Simba Union club, and that's where I think the difference will be. It's basically experience. Man for man, they probably Simba have got some very good youngsters. Raj Manji amongst them, Gurleen Singh. They've got the former under-19 captain. They've got Sukhdeep Singh. So those guys would be a match for anyone. But in terms of the setup at the minute, I don't think they'll be able to be good enough to be able to outclass this Ngara side.
Ngara is another pitch whereby the toss could be a factor. When Sikh Union played Canbis, they got 7 of their wickets, right? And then against Swami, they had they were at 90 for 1 or 2 at some point. I think 90 for 1 or something like that. Peter, could they pull off a surprise against Ngara, or they're just playing for the bottom of the table?
I think apart from Sukhdeep, who is tried and tested, the rest are academy players. And people might say that Ngara has got only 2 players, but in this league you need only 2 players to stand up and do something. So if you see Ngara, Nikul, and Tanvir are players who have I could call knocked the doors for Kenya. So I think they'll carry the day in a way that even if Sukhdeep stays at the top, it lacks support. It lacks support, and it lacks somebody to go in the long run. So I think what Simba Union can do this Sunday is to threaten, but they cannot go past threatening. I think it will be a tall order for them.
All right. The third match will be Kachileva hosting Ruaraka. Ruaraka have been the top of the week after beating Canbis last week by 3 wickets. Kachileva only won the first one against Sir Ali, which was a bit of a surprise, then lost 2 in a row. Ruaraka seemed to be on an upward projection, let's say. They won the one against Canbis after losing heavily to Sri Lions in their opening one. Ruaraka will be missing Elijah again. As we now know, he's been admitted to hospital for a number of days now. They still have the 3 Ugandans, opening batsman Zephania Arinaitwe, the all-rounder Brian Masaba, and Kenneth Waiswa, the other all-rounder. Kachileva, Pamba.
I'll still go with the experience of Ruaraka and the fact that they've recruited those 3 Ugandans into their side. I watched them last week, and they were hungry. They are hungry to perform, and they've lifted the entire team as well. And even on your previous interview with Brian Masaba, I spoke about them trying to help Ruaraka to win and get up the table. And you could see that has rubbed off again to the other players as well. They spoke of the help they've received locally from Francis Otieno, who's actually standing in there as their coach, and they've got also Thomas Odo, who's actually assisting with them, and Jimmy Kamande. They spoke highly of them and what impact they've had, and they've settled quickly. They want to hit the ground running, and if you look at how they played last week, was magnificent. I mean, Kenneth Waiswa was lively. No one could live with him on that field. I mean, he bowled a magnificent spell for 10 overs and got 4 wickets of 28 runs just conceded. So that was a good performance from him. And Zephyr Inaito also was among the runs and actually started the run chase. Ruaraka, they had 2 limp performances. They were going nowhere. They looked like they were finishing this probably at the bottom end of the table, but they've rallied themselves, and now they're looking up, and having beaten a big side like Canbis, they should be looking up to try and climb that table. And now they may not fear anyone based on their current performances. I mean, the youngsters in the team as well have done them proud because they were 113 for 7. Then they conjured up a 73-run partnership to get the win, and an unbroken one between Buva and Ashit Vekaria, and they picked their moments. I mean, they're coming up against very strong bowling, can be spin bowling, and you had spoken about that against the Ugandans. They didn't particularly play well over the years, but on the day, they still got out to spin bowling, but after they'd already got something on the board. So I'm looking at them with the confidence they've got. Ashit Vekaria timing his shots well, getting some over the fence, and playing against the best bowlers and be able to excel against them. They have their tails up when they walk across to play Kachileva, Patel Samaj, whom I think have had maybe a little bit help from maybe Lame Konyango, their coach, but beyond him and probably Asit, we're struggling to find good quality players that could challenge the position of Ruaraka going into this match on Sunday. So I'm looking. Ruaraka should be able to overhaul the challenge of Kachileva at their own patch, despite the fact that they have Lame Konyango there, and they'll try their best to try and take advantage of that surface and facility at their ground. But I think Ruaraka will be too strong for the day.
So Kachileva also won't have Rajesh Budia this weekend. So maybe a bulk of the bowling will fall back to Lamek. He's played 2 matches, gotten the first one, he got 2 wickets. I think the last one he got 1. But I always wonder, Kachileva have a very good B team. Why don't they think of moving maybe 1 or 2 of their players to their A team to reinforce even for a couple of matches, and then they can go back? Because when Rahul doesn't score, there's nothing much that comes. It's like a train. Peter.
Kachileva is in the same predicament like Simba Union. They've gone the way that they've gone to the youngsters to do a men's job. So I'm short of calling the Sunday game our cover, but with cricket you never know, they can spring a surprise. But even they beat Sir Ali on the first day. But if you see their lineup, is mostly youngsters. They train very hard because they train 5 days a week. They have Lamek now full time. They even moved him from Somibapa to make sure that the youngsters get the needed support. But cricket is not a game that you leave to youngsters, however good they are. So that's what is killing Kachileva at the moment. Even with their B side, they've got youngsters, but it's because they are not playing against experienced players at the Division 1. That's why you see them performing better. If you bring those players from the B side to the Super League, they'll face the same kind of problem their counterparts are having, because they are now facing experienced players. You saw what Shem did to them last week. He literally just destroyed them 1 man. So they'll come good after a while, because this is what Canbis did. Canbis did this for like 4 years when they were bringing up the youngsters, but it paid off. So if they stick to that, eventually it will pay off. But for this league, I don't think they'll be contending.
So you're saying the greatest contest of the league will be Kachileva against Sikh Union?
Yes, that will be a very good game to watch. Yeah.
All right, let's move on to Canbis versus Sir Ali. Canbis will be hosting Sir Ali at Islay High School. Sir Ali lost the first one against Kachileva and went on to win the next 2. They have 3 more three more. No, two more. They have two more of their pros who came in this week. There's Sandeep Adole. I've forgotten the name of the other one, but he's also a batsman. He's also a batting all-rounder. They have Irfan Ilahi. He got 4 wickets last week and he bowls really well. Zahid Abbas is sticking in the middle to lower order. Gurdeep looks good at the top, but he hasn't really come good yet. But it looks like a formidable squad that they'll have this weekend. Canbis have they're coming back from a very stinging loss against Ruaraka last weekend. Is Sir Ali's side now good enough to face Canbis, so they're going to capitalize on what Canbis are currently going through? Pamba.
It's an interesting contest, this one, especially at the silly ground. We know on that surface, the spinners will do well, they do better there. So we've got a Saali side that would want to attack pace. They always beat relying on a lot of pace. So Irfan Elai will come there and try and ball quickly. Eugene will try and complement him from this other end. And so they're going to go hard at Canbis. We've seen them struggle against Kenneth Waiswa at Ruaraka, but the surfaces could be different in terms of the one at Eastleigh. So maybe it's upon Canbis, what kind of surface have they prepared? If they've prepared the traditional kind of surface, then they can nullify the threat of pacers from Sir Ali, and then be able to use their spinners to good effect to be able to win this one. They have lost to Sir Ali in the recent past in the T20 games, and we saw how hard they came back at them in the final at Gymkhana in the T20 tournament. So they are coming off a loss, and we know they'll be fighting to try and recover that one as quickly as possible. So they'll try and get themselves back to winning ways this time. In their own surface, that's a ground they know how to play better in terms of batting. And in terms of spin bowling, or we'll be counting on people like Rajesh Budia, who's been the top bowler in the league for a long time. And he should be able to be amongst the weakest. They recruited Emmanuel Bundi for Sim, and they also have Nelson Odhiambo, who actually bowled last weekend, which was good to see after a long while. So they're going to be competitive now. They've got a couple of seamers to bowl for them, and they've got a wide range, probably the most spinners in the league. So I don't see them being able to struggle at their own surface against Sali, but Sali will give them a fight, because someone like Sandeep Adole does bowl you 10 overs, does give you runs. Irfan Elai will come out and bowl as well, and maybe get a few at the end as well. When needed, it could be handy with the bat as well. And the other wicketkeeper, the other batsman you said is a batting all-rounder. If home team are more wounded, and they want this win so badly, so I'm looking at a situation where Canbis will try and impose themselves on Sali, and being at their home ground, I think they probably should be able to do it.
Peter, Eugene got 2 wickets last week. Seems like a bit of an improvement, but he's still not getting runs. Tony is still not getting runs. Kamango still not getting runs. Will it be a bad show if they were dropped in favor of the pros, because Sir Ali really need to win? And I don't think they're bringing their pros in their current conditions just to put them on the bench.
Yeah, I've spoken to Kamango. He's already dropped, by the way.
Yeah, I know.
It's not sad, because he said he didn't really perform. Sir Ali has taken the side, and they're really trying to go for the league, because they're very serious contenders. And what they have brought in is a different culture in Sir Ali, because they were laid back. You can see them fighting. They fought against Gymkhana in all odds, and Zahid and Ifan batted very well to come back, because they were down. They were like I think 30 for 3 or something. But I would say still Canbase with 5 would be Kenya team players, because we have not done the selection for the last 2 years, so we don't know if they are still Kenya team players. But if you count if you count the players in Canbase who can make the Kenya team, we have what do you call it, Mandela, we have Rakeb, we have Tom, we have Puspa, and now we have
Sachin, the 2 Sachin.
Yeah, and then we have the new player Kundi, or not Kundi, what do you call him?
Bundi.
Yeah, Bundi. So you see, they have got 6 players who can make the national team. If you have 6 players who can make the national team, you cannot lose to Sir Ali. So, and I know Canbase play very well when they are facing tougher oppositions. That's why when they play on Papa, you see they pick up. Even if they lose like 3 or 4 games in a row, when they meet the tough opposition, they pick up. So I'll call this one for Canbase, but it's going to be a very tough game. But I'll be very surprised if Sir Ali, even with their pros, will beat Canbase on Sunday at Isili.
All right. The last match will be Swami Bapa versus Nairobi Gymkhana at Jaffrey's. Swami Bapa have stated before that the toss has really helped them pick quick wickets. They elected to field last week when they won the toss. Gymkhana still struggling. They have 2 losses so far against Ngara and Sir Ali. Last weekend, they didn't have a number of their players. This week, Karan is back to batter the top order. They also have Arnav Patel and Yash Talati, the spinning duo. We saw Harsh didn't bowl so well. He came, tried to bowl and bowled, is it 10 or 12 wides, and got cut. So they'll have a little bit of backup in their bowling there and also in their batting. But as we've seen, the problem hasn't really been the quality of players they have, but sort of their batting order by and large. Swami Bapa still haven't been tested, but we know their order is really weak after losing their 5 top players. Pamba, is there a chance that Ruaraka Gymkhana could do better? I'm not saying win, but just some sort of improvement from them as they face Swami Bapa.
I think the Gymkhana will improve on this one. And we talked earlier about involvement of Starfield. It could be a Starfield derby at a fair, because half the working staff are probably on one team and the other on the other team. So there might be a little few battles on the sides of the match before you bring in the Swami Bapa and Gymkhana fair as overall. So it's an interesting one, especially at Jaffrey's, and we know that what that wicket can do in the morning. Sometimes you might win the toss and elect to bat ball fast, and it could really help you. It's one I say there's a flight line in between there. You don't know how it will go, because the Swami Bapa key players have also been lacking a bit. They lost quite a few, and the ones they have as well have not performed as well as we would have expected them. Maurice Ouma hasn't yet hit the strides going. It's just when you look on the other side with Rushabh, who has held that batting together, and then later on Nehemiah Odhiambo has chipped in with runs. But again, that is towards the end of the inning. If they got exposed early, you don't know what would happen to them. But James has been bowling, Goch has been bowling well. So it's one that could probably be decided by the toss. I feel the side that will probably bowl fast could take advantage, because we know Nehemiah can exploit those conditions. And also you've got on the other side even more heavily packed bowling performances could also tilt it Gymkhana's way. You've got Lucas, you've got Martin Okot, you've got Amish Amin, you've got Dominic Wesonga. All those can strike. And then Ash has been with the runs, and maybe introduction of Karan back could help them stabilize the batting lineup with Vir as well. So It could be, it's important. It's one that I feel probably might go the toss way, because we've had limp performances from either side, despite the fact that Swami-Bapa has won both their games. But besides that, they've not been commanding performances. So it's something that it's left to see. It's one that's very hard to call.
Peter, I know you'll be there with the toss now that umpires are back. Do you think this is the match? This is the match to test Swami-Bapa's batting lineup? Because James has complained about it. Yeah.
You see, when the league started, I had called Swami-Bapa as also strong contenders. The next day, I thought they're not. But I really think also in the league, when you have a slim lineup, then you tend to make sure that when you are in, you don't leave it to the next person. Sometimes when you have a very long lineup, people relax and leave it. You bat and you think, okay, there's still Irfan. Irfan will think, oh, there's still Alex. Alex will think there's still Rushab. So I think now they don't have the luxury of leaving it to the next person. So they'll have to pick up. I'll pick Rushab as a key for Swami-Bapa. He has to bet long. And another thing you should note, and you can see from the last two games, Swami-Bapa, when they score, they don't go slow. They score at a very high rate. So if they stick in, they'll get runs. But I think Morris has to now come into the party. He's a player who has to train to get to the party. But they've got another angle when they come to bowling, because the bowling is not, they've not lost a lot of bowlers because they lost 2 batsmen and Bundi as a bowler, but the rest are still there. James is on song. So I think Jim Kana will have to really come to the party to make sure that they squeeze something out of Swami-Bapa, even though they lost the players. Jim Kana at the moment is lacking leadership. They should decide and get somebody to lead them, because last time I watched their match, they had 5 captains. So I think if they get the captain right, they'll win it. If they're still having 5 captains, they won't get it right.
Okay, we'll speak to Kavi. So as we wrap up, Peter, since you're here, Swami-Bapa versus Gymkhana, who do you pick to win?
Swami-Bapa.
Canbis versus Sir Ali?
Canbis.
Stray Lions versus Obuya Academy?
Stray Lions.
Ngara versus Sikh Union?
Ngara.
Kachileva versus Rwaraka?
Rwaraka. I said that will be our cover, unless otherwise.
All right. Pamba, your turn. Swami-Bapa versus Gymkhana?
Swami-Bapa.
Canbis versus Sir Ali?
Canbis.
Stray Lions versus Obuya?
Stray Lions.
Ngara versus Sikh Union?
Ngara.
Kachileva versus Rwaraka?
Rwaraka.
Right. So for me, Swami-Bapa versus Gymkhana. I'll pick Gymkhana for this one. Canbis versus Sir Ali. I'll say Sir Ali. Stray Lions versus Obuya. I'll go with Stray Lions because I haven't seen Obuya yet. Ngara versus Sikh Union. Ngara. Kachileva versus Rwaraka. Rwaraka. That is all we have for today. Thanks a lot. I'll see you on Monday for the review of the matches that will be played on Sunday. Thank you so much and have a good night. And
we'll check if you got the first 2 right.
I always lose money. We'll see. We'll see. All right.